Hi, what's your name?
I'm Michael Mays.
Michael, good to know you.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
Why don't we start off and give me a little background. Tell me about your professional background, about yourself.
Well, I am an expert in marketing strategy and branding communications. And I guess it's a little interesting that I would even be in this profession. When I was in college, I was pursuing a degree in zoology to become a doctor. I guess it's interesting I may be a doctor of sorts now. I certainly do help companies diagnose what is their brand and what may be right or wrong about it. I write prescriptions, if you will, with creative ideas and the kinds of marketing tools that they would need to help build their business. I lead teams of experts to help cure their ails, copywriters, art directors, and the like that. So after all, I was going to school to be a doctor, and maybe that's what I've become in a different way by helping people with their brands and their marketing problems.
So you're really a creative marketing guru of sorts, right?
And that's correct. From the standpoint of looking at brands, looking at what needs to be done, and then moving forward to do creative that touches people.
Mm-hmm. And you pretty much spent your whole career to this point in that type of activity.
So virtually all my career has been in this.
This is not a career change for you. You're really an expert, as you said, in this field.
That is correct. I have been doing this for many more years than I'd like to mention, actually.
Well, you mentioned leading teams a minute ago. How do you do that? What would you say is your leadership style? How do you get the most out of the people you're working with?
Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to answer that maybe in a little bit different way. And it's as much about what I've heard from clients that I have helped in the past and what they say about the marketing professionals and teams that they had before my team and myself. And how do you get the most out of a team is that they have to embody and accept what you believe in as their leader. And what I believe in as their leader is that you have to empathize with the client. And what past clients have told me, Chris, is that people come in and they're not there to collaborate. They're there to dictate. They come to the table saying, we are the ones that are brilliant. We are the only people with the ideas. We are the folks that are going to tell you what you need to do. And never once do they take the time to listen, to hear, to understand, and then to empathize with that client about what their product or service is and say, I hear what you're saying. I understand your troubles. Now, how can we go out getting this change, making it better together?
Do you think part of that is because the creative people many times are trying to sell their ideas and create the value of their ideas, so they become a little overbearing?
I think that that's part of it. I also think that it's just the nature of the creative beast. Mm-hmm. And you need a little of that. There's no doubt that you want creative people to really believe in what they are doing, and you want them to be passionate about it. Because if they're not passionate about it, then you're not going to get the kind of work that you need that will go out into the marketplace and touch people on an emotional level.
Sure. Well, give me an example of where that approach has paid off for you. Maybe a success story you could share with me.
I have a couple success stories that I'm very proud of, but they all work around first having a good product and a good, something to sell.
Sure.
You can't make it up out of thin air. For a tourism client, the work we did helped them increase their response request for materials by 85% in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And that continued for the course of 4 or 5 years that we handled the account. So they had 85% increase in requests for materials. For a tourism company, that's huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
For a mega resort, we were able to increase the average daily rate, which is what people pay per night for a room, by $10 per night. Mm-hmm. In that kind of a resort, that ends up being $40,000 a day.
Yeah.
That's the increase of $40,000 a day to the bottom line.
A huge number of rooms.
A huge number of rooms. It's a mega resort.
Yeah.
But so $10 means big stuff. For a newspaper, metropolitan newspaper client, the industry itself is in turmoil, as we all know. And for the past about half a dozen years, the industry has suffered like 4 to 6% losses in readership and subscriptions, and of course, advertising dollars. we created enough demand for a specific market and a targeted market that we knew we could still reach, and trying not to reach the whole world, but figuring out who we could emotionally get to, and increased their subscription and readership by 2%. Now, 2% doesn't sound like a huge amount, but it is a huge amount.
Yeah, it is in this market.
And because when everybody else is losing 4% a year, and you're growing at 2% a year, that's big.
Well, I think any growth at all in the newspaper industry is remarkable these days.
It is remarkable.
Well, let me ask you this. If you were giving advice to a firm today on how to grow market share, how to improve its image, I mean, something like that, what would you say?
The first thing to do is, to assess where you are. And what I call that is discover your brand. Now, you might not think you have a brand, but you do. And if you don't think you have one, you better figure out, what it is so that you can at least think about it. Mm-hmm. Discover your brand. And is that brand what you want it to be? Is it what you want your customers to think it is? Is it what you want your potential customers? If you have a disassociation between the discovery of your brand and what people believe about you, or what you would want people to believe about you, there's a problem involved there.
Absolutely.
So it's very simple, and it sounds like, oh gosh, yeah, I should know that. But a lot of people just move on saying, well, here's who we are, here's what we make, and here's what we sell.
Okay.
And they don't take the time to discover your brand. If you need to make changes in the brand, fine. That may mean making operational changes even. But if you need to make changes in it, whether it's the pricing or the structure or any number of different things, and only you will know that, make those changes. If you don't need to make changes, is when you make the discovery of your brand and you decide, hey, my brand is exactly what I want it to be. I'm really happy with this. I like it. The people that I'm selling to like it. And there's people out there that just don't know about it. How do I get them? That becomes the third step in this after the discovery. The third step is then tell a truthful story about your brand in an emotional way that touches people to make them want what you have or need what you have. And you have to be able to tell that brand story to every customer or potential customer every time, with every message, every day.
Very good, very well said. Well, Michael, I certainly appreciate your time. You obviously know your business.
Thank you for having me come in today, Chris.
Thanks a lot.